All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about properties with logs. And the reason we're doing the properties of logs is because it's going to help you solve your logarithmic and exponential equations. Okay, so I'm going to split this video up into two. In this video, we are going to learn how to expand logs. And in the next video, you're going to learn how to condense logs. Now, this video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to go over each property first, and then we're going to talk about expanding, okay? So, since logarithms are inverses of, what did I tell you that logarithms were inverses of? Exponentials. So, since logarithms are inverses of exponentials, the properties of logarithms can be derived from the properties of exponents. So, in Math 1, you talked about when you are dividing exponentials, you subtract the exponents. When you're multiplying exponentials, you add the exponents. Same thing here. If you are multiplying two numbers inside of log, then you can expand it by adding two separate logs, okay? So the logarithm of a product, which is multiplication, is the same as the addition of the logs, okay? So if you look at example 1, I want to expand these two logs. Well, since the two numbers on the inside are being multiplied, I can expand it to two logs, saying log base 3 of 4 plus log base 3 of 7. Okay, and how do you know how many logs you need when you're expanding? I count how many components I have on the inside of that log. If I have two components, I will have two logs. And if you look at the U-try, there are three components on the inside, so you're going to have 3 logs. Okay, so on the U-try, I want to expand this. And like I said, there's an X, Y, and Z. That's 3 things. So I'm going to have 3 logs. Okay, so it's going to be log of X plus log of y plus log of z. Now, this only works like with exponents. You had to have like bases, like you had to have x squared divided by x cubed. You couldn't have x squared divided by a squared, okay? But in this class, I'm not going to give you any that have different bases, so don't worry about that, okay? But it is possible to approach that in a different math, okay? All right, so we'll get back to, anytime you see the word condense, that's going to be another video, okay? All right, so the quotient property, that's going to be your division. So if you're dividing some things, you can expand it to subtraction. So the logarithm of a quotient, which is division, is the same as the subtraction of logs. Okay, so if you look at example 3, it's saying that log base 4 of x divided by y. There are 2 components there. So I'm going to separate it with 2 logs. And since I am dividing these 2 logs, it's going to be a subtraction. Okay, same thing with the U-try. When I expand this, because they're being divided, I'm going to actually end up subtracting those 2 logs. Okay. The last property we're going to talk about in here is your exponent property. So I told you that exponents and logarithms are inverses of each other. So anytime you have the logarithm of an exponent, it actually cancels out that exponent and it moves it to the front. See how the P went to the front there? And vice versa. Okay, so when you're expanding, you're going to be moving your exponent to the front. When you're condensing, you're going to make it back an exponent. Okay, so the logarithm of the power is the same as the multiplication of the logs. Okay, let's write that out. All right, so in number 5, I want to expand. That means I'm going to take this little exponent here and I'm going to move it to the front. And it's going to be 4 log base 5 of x. Okay. All right, next one, it is 1/3. I'm going to take that 1/3 and I'm going to move it to the front, and I have 1/3 log base 47 of y. Okay, so those are your easier ones. So now let's get into the more complex ones. Okay, all right, so we'll come back to the condense. So our first expand is right here in number 7. Now, I want to refresh your memory on exponents with square roots, any kind of radicals, really and truly, okay? So I need you guys to know that the square root of x that you learned in Math 2 is also equal to x to the 1/2 power. So anytime you see the square root, you need to convert it to a half. So if you look right here in number 7, I need to convert that to 8z to the 1/2 power. Okay? That's what I need to do there. All right. Now, when you have exponents like this in parentheses, everybody gets that exponent. Okay? So it's going to be log base 9 of 8 to the 1/2 and z to the 1/2. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to have 1/2 log base 9 plus 1/2 log base 9 of z. Oh, I forgot the 8 over here. Okay, because I was multiplying, I got to add, and then I put those exponents in the front. So that's going to be your final answer. Okay? Now, the next one is the fourth root. Well, if the square root is 1/2, what do you think the fourth root is going to be? It's going to be the 1/4. Okay, so if you always remember that the square root is equal to x to the 1/2, it'll help you with any other one. So if you had x cubed, or x, if you have the cube root of x, that's going to be x to the 1/3. If you have the sixth root of x, that's going to be x to the 1/6. Okay, that's how I remember. I just remember the square root one, and then that helps me out for all the rest of them. Okay, it won't let me erase. All right, so we're going to do this one. I want to expand it, so I want more logs. I have two variables, so I'm going to have 2 logs in my answer. That fourth root needs to be changed to x divided by z to the 1/4 power, okay? Then I'm going to distribute that 1/4. Everybody gets a 1/4. So now I have log base 12 of x to the 1/4 divided by z to the 1/4. Division means to subtract. Exponents go on the front. So this will be 1/4 log base 12 of x minus 1/4 log base 12 of z. Now, there is another way you could have written example 7 in the U-try. You see how these both have a 1/4 in front? You could pull it out, but you would have to remember your parentheses here. Okay, the parentheses are very important. That's why I did it that way, so it was less notation error. But either answer is the same thing. Okay, all right. Let's keep expanding. Let's go down to here to another expand. All right, so I want to expand this next one. And it says I want to expand log base 3 of x to the 5th and y to the 7th. All right, so there are 2 components here, so I'm going to have 2 logs. They're being multiplied, so I'm going to add the 2 logs. And I'm going to have log base 3 of x to the 5th plus log base 3 of y to the 7th. I have exponents. You cannot, when you're expanding, you can't have exponents. So I have to take these exponents and I have to put them up front. So my final answer is 5 log base 3 of x plus 7 log base 3 of y. Okay? All right, let's hit up another expand. Okay? So this one is expand these 2. They're being divided, so that means they're going to be subtracting. And there's 2 components, so there's going to be 2 logs that are subtracting. So it's going to be log base 5 of a cubed minus log base 5 of b7. I need to take those exponents, move them to the front. My final answer will be 3 log base 5 of a minus 7 log base 5 of b. And that'll be your answer. Okay? All right, let's do another one. All right, the next one is going to be and expand, and it says log base 5 of g to the 6th times h squared divided by k to the 5th. All right, so we've got multiple operations going on here, but it's all good. Just remember your steps and you can do anything, okay? All right, so I have 3 components, so I'm going to have 3 logs. So I've got log base 5, so I'm going to give everybody a log, and we'll handle the operations in just a minute. All right, I thought I would run out of room. I'm going to erase this over here so I can have more room. Okay, here we go. So log base 5 of g to the 6th, and then log base 5 of h squared, log base 5 of k to the 5th. All right, so let's figure out our operations. Look at 2 variables at a time. G and h is being multiplied, so that means g and h down here is going to be added. K is being divided, so that means I need to subtract k. Then I take my exponents, okay? Take your exponents, and we're going to move them to the front. So my final answer would be 6 log base 5 of g plus 2 log base 5 of h minus 5 log base 5 of k. And that's your answer. Okay? All right. One more, and then we're going to pull up some delta math and do some of those, okay, to help you out with typing and stuff like that. All right. Look, all of this is being taken the square root of, right? So I need to rewrite this as log base 3 parentheses x to the 5th, y to the 6th, z to the 7th, to the 1/2 power. And if you remember your exponent properties, that 1/2 gets distributed to everybody. Okay? So I'm going to cut everybody in half. And I'm going to have log base 3 of x to the 5/2, because that's going to be a decimal. We don't want a decimal. Y to the 3rd, and then z to the 7/2. Okay? All I did was cut everybody in half because that was the exponent. Now, I have 3 components, so I'm going to have 3 logs. And I'm going to say log base 3 of x to the 5/2, log base 3 of y cubed, and log base 3 of z to the 7/2. Now, x and y is being multiplied, so that's addition. Z is being divided, so that's the subtraction. Take your exponents, move them to the front. So my final answer will be 5/2 log base 3 of x plus 3 log base 3 of y minus 7/2 log base 3 of z. And that would be your answer. Okay? All right, let's do some delta math. All right, so I've got a new tool we're going to try out. All right, lets me write on the thing so I don't do the screen snips. But if it gets too difficult, we'll do the screen snips. So I look here. I want to expand. This is expanding. Okay, see it's a little off. Might have to go to the snip. So I want to expand this. I have 3 components, so I'm going to have 3 logs. So I'm going to have log of y to the 4th, and then I have log of x squared, and then I have log. What is the square root of z in exponential form? Z to the 1/2. Go ahead and write it. Don't even write that square root, okay? Now, let's figure out the operations. Y and x are being multiplied, so we're going to add them. Z is being divided, so z needs to be subtracted. And then last but not least, move those exponents to the front. So my final answer will be 4 log of y plus 2 log of x minus 1/2 log of z. All right, so I want to show you how to type this in, okay? All right, so we're going to go down here to submit answer. You have your keyboard here. Pull the keyboard up, okay? So I want 4 log of y, so I've got 4 Log is under functions. There you go. And it's log of y. So I'm going to go back to here. So it's log of y. Close your parentheses. Delta Math likes the inside in parentheses. Okay, so make sure you put parentheses around your insides. Okay. And then plus 2, pull up functions again, of log. Inside is x. Close parentheses. Minus 1/2. To do a fraction, you just do 1 divided by 2 and it makes it for you. But you have to tab over to get out. Put the log. And then this one's going to be a z. To get your z, either type it on your keyboard or go to ABC and there's your z. Okay? And fingers crossed Miss Arthur got it right. She knows what she's doing. All right. So I took a screenshot of the next one. Okay, so the next one's just, it's a little different. Okay, but we got this. All right, so just remember your rules. All right, so there's 3 components here, so I'm going to write 3 logs. So I've got log of the square root of x to the 5th, and then I have log of z, and then I have log of y to the 4th. All right, I want to talk about this guy right here. Okay, and I'm going to come over here and we're going to do some side work. Remember what I taught you. The square root means x to the 1/2. So let's write that. That's going to be x to the 5th to the 1/2. Well, what's 5 times 1/2? That's 5/2. So I can now rewrite this of log of x to the 5/2. Okay? Now, this one's a little bit different. Okay? So if you look, basically z and y are being divided, right? So I'm going to be using subtraction this whole time. Okay? So it's going to be minus log of z because z is being divided, and so is y. So I keep it subtraction since it's being divided. Then you're going to take these exponents and you're going to move them to the front. So my final answer is going to be 5/2 log of x minus log of z minus 4 log of y. Okay? And then you just go to Delta Math and you type that one in. Okay? All right, so that's it for me today. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know.